Greetings YouTube, Big Terry here with Golden Oaks Worm Company, and today we're doing an update on our Canadian Nightcrawler farm. So if that interests you, stay tuned. Now it's been a few weeks since our last update, and today I thought we'd take a count of see how many Nightcrawlers we actually have and see if they've been breeding at all. So let's take a look under the hood and see if we've been making any progress in our breeding program. Okay, let's pop the top and see what we got. Now, as you can see, I have been trying to monitor the soil health here of our Nightcrawler farm by using a pH meter, which shows that it is on the moist side, which is good, and is more alkaline than acidic, which is also very good. So you can see that there. So you have the toward the green is the moist and more alkaline side. So that's perfect. So let's take a look under this bag here and see if we can spot any Nightcrawlers. Now, I have been feeding this bin regularly, but also have started to incorporate some of the used chick layer crumble. So let's see if that has benefited our Nightcrawlers at all and see how many we can find. Bear with me. Let's take a look. And the soil does seem a bit on the drier side to the touch, but it is holding some moisture there. Here we can see some of the food scraps that they have yet to break down. And we're not seeing any worms just yet. They usually like to hide in some of these corners here. But I am seeing, I think I just saw a cocoon. So, yeah, not seeing any worms just yet. Now, I know I put at least 10 in here, so should be finding some. And so far, it is not looking good. I'm not finding any worms just yet. But I have seen that some of the food stuff has been breaking down, so I know there should be at least a couple in here, unless they escape through the holes in the bottom for the drainage. We'll check that in a moment if we can't find any in here. Just actually quite surprising. I'm not seeing any Nightcrawlers in here. Quite strange. Quite odd, y'all. I am not finding a single worm. Okay. So let's take a beat here. I'm going to move this soil around a little bit more, try to find a couple. If not, we will take the top tray off and see if they have escaped to the lower tray on the drainage layer. And if so, that will be good. If not, then we would have to say that this first attempt to breed Canadian Nightcrawlers may have been unsuccessful. Be right back. Okay, guys, so after doing some major sifting here through this top tray, I haven't found any live Nightcrawlers, which is really surprising. Not a single one. I have found some cocoons, so I know at some point that they were breeding in here, but I can't for the life of me think what happened to them. When I removed the drainage layer, I see just some dry debris and maybe just a couple of dead dried worms underneath here in the corner, but that's only like maybe one or two. And now I know I put a lot more than that in here, so I'm not sure exactly what happened. But I'd have to say that based on what I'm seeing here so far, that our first attempt to breed Canadian Nightcrawlers has been unsuccessful. So now, at this point, what I'm going to probably do is dry out this substrate and sift any cocoons that I find in here. That so far I have found a few out of here and put them into a smaller breeder container, similar to the one I set up for the smaller red wigglers. And I think we're going to make one more attempt to breed Canadian Nightcrawlers in a slightly different setup. I think part of the problem was that this particular setup that I had them in was not adequate. So we're going to try maybe one more time with a different setup. If not, we may try African Nightcrawlers instead of Canadian Nightcrawlers and see if we have better success with that. So for now, we are going to go ahead and set this particular bin out to dry a bit and see if we can sift any castings and not castings, but egg cocoons out of it in the next couple of days and reset a smaller bin up with that. And I'll get back to you guys to see if we're going to make a second attempt on our Canadian Nightcrawlers or maybe attempt African Nightcrawlers instead. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Now, while we wait for our remaining substrate to dry out a little and sift for any cocoons, what I've done here is I've set up a second bin. And this one I'm setting up a little bit different. I'm using a mortar tray filled with nothing but shredded paper and shredded cardboard as a substrate. Now, I may save a little bit of the old substrate just to jumpstart the microbiome in this area, but this will be our new Nightcrawler bin that we're going to make a second attempt on. We're also going to see if we can salvage any cocoons from the old bin to put in here and maybe get a second batch ordered of Canadian Nightcrawlers or picked up from a local shop. If our second attempt proves to be unsuccessful, then we will make one more attempt at raising African Nightcrawlers to see if we have more success with that. If not, we are just going to stick with our red wiggler red wiggler worms, which have been doing phenomenally well. And I think we'll just limit our company to red wigglers and mealworms. But we're going to make one more attempt here at raising Canadian Nightcrawlers. Like I said, if it does prove unsuccessful in this newest setup, then we are going to make one more attempt with African Nightcrawlers. But let's see how this goes. Stay tuned. Greetings, you guys, and we're back with an unexpected turn of events. I came out here today to check on our group of quails here, to make sure everybody's getting along okay. And when I looked down in their compost bin, I started to see some movement. Now, I don't know how well that'll show up on camera, but what I believe that to be are black fly larvae. And if that is the case, that will be another potential protein source for our quail, and an unexpected item that we can add to our growing worm company. So, man, I had not intended necessarily to start another farm, but I might be doing just that with these black soldier fly larvae. If they are, in fact, black soldier fly larvae, maybe you guys can tell me. Comment below. But yeah, if that's the case, we got extra protein for our quails. So it's been a few days, guys, and I've had a chance to let some of this bedding dry out in the sun for a couple of days. Not too many. I didn't want to have to dry out too much, but I wanted to be able to make sure that we were able to sift it through our mesh screens here. Now I'm using three sizes, a 1/4 inch, 1/8 inch, and a 16th inch size meshes here. I think that should be small enough in order for us to sift out the debris and get our eggs to separate. Now, I might have to go up one size if I see that the debris is too big to fit through the screen, but we're going to try this out first. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take a handful of our soil. Let's do a couple handfuls, actually. And we're slowly going to sift out any cocoons that may have been left by our disappearing night crawlers. So I just want to shake this up a bit. And rummage this around a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a second container to dump the larger debris in so that we can separate it from our cocoons. Okay, so here on the left, we'll have our catch basin for any of the large debris. So let's see how we did so far. And you can see some of the smaller material that has made it through there. So, and then even smaller, finer material on the bottom mesh there. So let's set this down for a moment and see if we have any cocoons in here that we can locate. Yes, I am seeing some cocoons there. I don't know if you guys can make that out right there. But I am going to get another smaller container and just hand pick these cocoons out so we can all see them a little bit better. Bear with me. Okay, so now we have a small container here that I've hand picked out some of the egg cocoons that you can see it right there. Now I'm not going to do that for the whole process. I just wanted you guys to see up close what the cocoons look like. And as you can see, the sifter does a great job of isolating that material. So on our slightly smaller screen, we did have some smaller cocoons that did make it through. So we're just gonna consolidate this and put it into our bin here. And then in the very bottom of our bucket here is the finely sifted cocoon castings that the earthworms give off that can be used as fertilizer or to plant garden plants in. So we're going to save that as well for our flower garden, our fruit garden. So I'm going to continue this process and I'll show you guys the final result in a moment. Okay, we're back, guys, and we got quite a lot of material done. Now, this material that's left here on the bottom of this tote is still a little bit wet, too wet to be sifted. It's getting stuck in our screens, but we were able to sift out the drier material that was on top. We'll put this back out in the sun for a little bit to let it dry out some more. But in terms of our harvest, we did pretty well. Now this here is some fine castings here with lots of eggs inside that we were able to sift out. So what we're going to do is we're going to set this up as a small breeder bin, just like we did with our red wigglers, just to get this colony started, see if we can salvage our Nightcrawler attempt. If we do have some of these hatched, then our first attempt at breeding Nightcrawlers wouldn't be a total failure. We could at least start with a brand new colony before we attempt to purchase any more worms out of pocket. So we're going to see if we can hatch these. I'm going to moisten this down a bit, put some worm chow on top, and then cover it with some a garbage bag and some bubble wrap, just like we did with our breeder Nightcrawler red wiggler bin. And we're going to check this in a couple weeks to see if we have some baby worms. So we'll be right back. I'm going to get some stuff to moisten this down a bit and get some materials to cover it up. And I'll show you that in just a moment. So once again, we have here our used poultry crumble. That is the leftovers that the quail neglect to eat, or the rather powdery version of it, what's left behind when they've consumed the bigger chunks. So I'm just going to lay some here on top. I'm also going to add some of our used coffee grounds. Now, I did notice that this particular set of coffee grounds started to grow some little bit of mold in there, which was actually beneficial bacteria for the worms. So we're going to go ahead and keep that in there, because the worms, they need the biota. They actually eat the microbes and that feed on the decaying material. So I'm gonna put that in there. And we're gonna do a little bit of azonite for some grit. Finally, we're gonna do a little bit of azonite for some grit. So to help the babies break down this food once they start hatching, if they start hatching. I'm gonna wet the whole thing down with our dechlorinated water. Nice and moist. Now, for the purposes of hatching the eggs, we do want a more moist environment than dry. So we gotta put a good amount in water in here. And that should be enough for right now. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna cover this with our black trash bag lightly to keep any worms and moisture inside. Actually, let's do the bubble wrap first for airflow, and then we'll do the black trash bag on top. Yeah, and just cover that lightly. And that'll be all for now. We'll check back on this in a few weeks to see if we have any baby worms. And if we do, then we will have successfully bred European Nightcrawlers, and our first attempt will not have been a total failure when we seem to have our initial breeders that disappeared. So we'll check back on this in a few weeks' time. For that, hope you guys will stay tuned for that update. We hope you're enjoying this content. Please stay tuned. Please hit that like button and subscribe. Follow us for more, and we will see you guys next time. So this is Big Terry once again signing off from Golden Oaks Worm Company. We'll see you soon.